No. Okay, hello everyone. Laura here again with another edition of Jumpstart's Facebook Live. It is March, and our financial literacy principle for March is consumer protection and identity theft. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. For those of you who join us frequently, you might notice that our set looks a little bit different. And that's because today I'm not at the Jumpstart office, which is where we usually broadcast from, but rather I am here in beautiful Orange County, California, at the offices of Experian, our good partners Experian. And I am here with my friend Rod Griffin, who is the Director of Public Education for Experian. Yep. And a lot of our teachers know you from the National Educator Conference. Of course, the Educator Conference was founded in conjunction with Experian. They helped us get it started, and Rod has been with us and is usually there at every event. Our partners know you, of course, as a member of Jumpstart's National Board. And everybody else probably knows you from your many appearances in Experian's social media, Periscope broadcasts, and everything else. And so we think you're probably a familiar face.
I hope so. I kept thinking you were going to go with how old I was and how long it's been around. That was but she avoided it very nicely. I'm
right.
old, and I've been around a long time.
That's okay.
So.
I didn't say my very old friend, Rod Griffin. My longtime friend Rod Griffin, who and thank you for having
Absolutely.
us here at Experian. This is kind of exciting because we don't get to broadcast from out in the field, but I am here at the Experian office, and so it's a nice opportunity to do it differently. And before we get started, and I want to welcome everyone again, but before we get started, I just wanted to thank your team, Stacy, Alex, Christina. They have been wonderful, and I know Heather and the Jumpstart team really appreciate all that they've done to help make this possible.
Yeah, we couldn't do this without them. I certainly couldn't. They keep me in line or try to. So they teach the old dog new tricks, and I try to listen. That's kind of the key.
Well, you've got the best of them, and I know the Jumpstart team loves them too.
And it's an honor to be here. And I've said, and I've told the teachers and the Jumpstart board members, it's an honor for us at Experian to support Jumpstart and to be part of Jumpstart, and to have that opportunity to be part of their lives in some way when at the teacher conference and at the meeting. So fantastic. And the work you do is so important.
And we do it because we've got really great partners like Experian and you personally, because we've got organizational partners, but the organizations are only as good as the people. So thank you for being with us every step of the way.
Setting the bar high again. Okay. We'll do our best.
Yes, we'll do our best. And that actually is a good segue into today's topic, because our financial literacy principle for March is consumer protection and identity theft. And I think that a lot of our audience knows what Experian and the credit bureaus do in terms of helping us get credit, in terms of helping creditors make decisions about giving credit. But I'm not sure that everyone fully understands what an ally Experian is in the fight to protect consumers, especially against fraud. And so I think where we want to start is tell us about what Experian and all the credit bureaus, but Experian in particular, what do you do to help protect consumers?
And how long do we have?
Yeah,
that's the question. So
till Thursday.
And it's and Laura, like you said, we're known as a credit reporting and credit scoring business, right. But we also at Experian have a number of other organizations that fall under that umbrella. One of them is a fraud detection and prevention business, and it helps lenders and other people who work with consumers identify potential fraud, prevent fraud. So we work in the background in that way. People often aren't aware of that.
Right.
We also have services specifically for the consumer that help them monitor and recover from fraud that people are often aware of through breaches and those sorts of things. But even from a credit reporting standpoint, we work with lenders, and so if there's information in a report that's unusual, we can notify that lender. Social security numbers that don't look right or haven't been issued, dates of birth that
proactive.
So we can proactively notify a lender that there's potential that there could be fraud occurring, and so they can take appropriate action. We will add free fraud alerts for consumers if you're believe you may be a victim of fraud or potentially are and that helps protect you if you've been a victim of a breach or of fraud, credit fraud. Someone stolen your credit card number. I laugh because I got landed here, and the person at the car rental counter had her credit card stolen. So we had a big discussion about fraud.
Absolutely.
While everybody in the back was making unpleasant looks and comments about me holding up the line. But we were able to help her get what she needed.
Important topic.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and welcome to everyone if you're just joining us, whether live or if you're watching this after the fact. It's great to have you, and we are here in Orange County, California at Experian with Rod Griffin, who is the Director of Public Education here at Experian. So you were talking about, unfortunately, I think consumers become aware of what Experian does when they have a problem. What are some of the things, if a consumer has, it becomes the victim of fraud, what should they do?
First, go to Experian.com/fraud and request that fraud alert. It's free. It lasts for 90 days. It says, I may be a victim of identity theft. Before granting credit in my name, please contact me or verify my identity, and we'll send you a free report. So you get a free report. Check that report. See if there's anything in there that indicates that you're potentially a victim. If you find something, you'll want to notify your local police department or the Federal Trade Commission. You can file a fraud report. I've been there, done the same thing, and my little police department in Texas knew exactly what a fraud report was, so it's well known. And with a police report, you can come back, upload that through the same site, and we can begin to proactively remove fraudulent accounts. Right. So sort of the first step, and we'll add what we call a 7-year victim statement or extended fraud alert. So that lasts 7 years. It says, I am a victim of identity theft. Wow. Before granting credit in my name, please call me, and you can provide 2 telephone numbers. They're always provided to the requester of the report. Federal law requires that the business respond to that alert, so they can't ignore them. And so that helps protect that credit history while you do other things that you might need to do. So work with your lenders, notify them, ask them to dispute fraudulent accounts, those sorts of things.
You said something interesting, about the police department, and they know, they get it. Yeah. And I think that, sadly, we hear a lot about fraud and identity theft, and it seems like we hear about it everywhere. How big of a problem is this?
It's a huge issue in terms of the information that's available. So there's so much data and so much information. Breaches are becoming more and more common, and we've done some research through our fraud groups that have shown that's likely to continue. So it's very important that you be diligent in reviewing your credit history, maintaining your identification information, because it is a continually growing problem. Identity may be more of a problem today, or more of a valuable thing to steal than money in some cases.
Yeah. So is technology, is it making the problem worse, or is it helping us curb the problem?
Yes.
Or both. Yeah.
And that's always the balance. I mean, I think that's the universal and historical reality there. For every benefit, there's somebody who will try to misuse it.
Sure.
And so information helps us, and the information Experian maintains and protects. It helps you gain financial advantage. Right. Helps you access financial tools. Because of what we do, people in our national credit reporting system, for example, people who live in the U.S. have lower cost credit than anywhere else in the world. You can't buy a house anywhere else in the world for 3 or 4, 6% interest. You can't access credit. So we make instant credit available. We make all sorts of financial resources available. So it's a benefit to you as a consumer. Right. But at the same time, it's our responsibility to be a steward of that information and to protect it. And we invest very heavily in making sure it's safe. It's our worst fear. And it's what keeps, I'm looking across where our CEO in another building would sit, and that's what will keep him up at night. Yeah, is making sure that our data is safe, so that it works to your benefit, right? And the criminals who would use it to your disadvantage can't access it. Right.
What are some of the things? How do you advise consumers to keep their information safe?
Yeah, simple things to start with. When you throw something away, shred it. It's common sense. Dumpster diving is still one of the most popular ways to steal identifying information. So,
which is kind of low tech.
It's low tech, but it's easy.
Just, yeah.
And shredders are cheap. And so if you have anything, name, address, anything I get that has any of my identification information on it, goes through a shredder. And I bought it 15 years ago at like Walmart or somewhere. Right. And so hugely important.
But even if you don't have a shredder, there are a lot of companies now that do like a shredder day, and you could bring your box of stuff.
At the very least, tear it up. Don't leave anything whole.
Right.
So invest in a shredder. Just because someone asks for your information doesn't mean you have to give it to them.
Right.
So know why someone's asking for your social security number. Know why they want to know your name and other sensitive information. And only provide it if you understand why and they need it. Right. Requesting a credit report, we need to match your identity and you would initiate that relationship. Right. So you know who you're talking to and why. Right. If it's somebody, I've had a person at a teller at a store ask me for my social security number. Well, why do you need that? So be aware of how your information is being used. And beyond that, check your credit report at least once a year. It's free. I always tell people, never skip a freebie, if only that.
And it's easy to do.
It's very easy to do.
It's easy to do. And so speaking of credit reports, one of the things that we've often heard is with young people, that maybe a teenager, around 16 or so, before they go off to college, that's a good time to check their credit report.
And it likely will not have one.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. So we don't knowingly maintain credit histories for minors, but it's possible that a minor could have a credit report. I know of parents who add their teenager as an authorized user, for example, on one of their accounts to teach them about credit and how to manage finances. So they may have a legitimate
my son's
account.
Not listening to this.
Yeah, so mom,
because sorry.
Yeah, but it can be a great way to teach them, especially as an authorized user, because you don't have to give them the card, right? So you can keep that card. You can go to the store with them, say, now you can use it to make this purchase, walk through the billing statement at the end of the month and say, this is how credit works. So it's a teachable moment, helps them build credit. But for most young people, you don't have a credit report. Right. If you do see one, it could be a sign of fraud. As a parent, you can request a free credit report. Go to Experian.com/fraud again, and there's a link that says minor child instructions. It's hard to say, and there's a document tells you what you need to send. Right. We're going to ask you to verify that you are the legal guardian or parent of that child. So some documentation. I've had people say you do that to make it difficult, and we don't. Our goal is to protect the child, because we don't want it to be the identity thief.
Absolutely.
So we request that you provide documentation, because our assumption is you're telling us that they may be a victim of fraud. So we want to do that. And if we have a credit report, we'll send you the report. If we don't have a credit report, we'll send you a notice that says we have no record on file. Right. That's the ideal thing.
Right, and that's the ideal thing. Exactly. And so because kids seemingly, I think we understand, are very vulnerable to fraud, is there anything else that gets a lot of our audiences is parents and teachers, and are there other things that we should know in terms of protecting our kids?
Let's talk about social media.
Yeah.
Being on Facebook Live, right?
Right.
Even adults today are too willing to share on social media. We'll share all sorts of things. Kids, even more so. Children and young people, even millennials, the studies have shown are more susceptible to fraud because sadly they're more trusting. Right. And it's sort of their nature to share information.
And more comfortable with the medium.
And far more comfortable with the medium. So be aware of what you're posting in social media. Simple things, even for adults. Don't tell people you're going on vacation before you go on vacation. Right. Because you're telling them, hey, we're not home, come visit.
Exactly.
So it can be a big issue.
And we see that all the time on Facebook and things like that. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are here at Experian with Rod Griffin, and we're talking about consumer protection and identity theft. Experian has wonderful resources to help teachers, parents, consumers learn a little bit more about this. Can you tell us about some of that?
Sure. And you can find a lot of our materials on the Jumpstart Clearinghouse. So visit jumpstart.org and search the Clearinghouse for Experian's resources. You can also find all of our education resources at Experian.com/consumer education.
And Heather's posting those right below in the comments. So if you're watching this, look right below us, and you will probably see the links that will take you both to our clearinghouse as well as to Experian's page.
Yeah, and we have a booklet about fraud and identity theft and how do you respond. We have a brochure called 12 Common Questions that includes information about fraud and identity theft. If you go to Experian.com and look at our credit advice, Experian.com/education, consumer education is ours. Experian.com/credit education. I'll get there. We have so many links. But credit education, you'll find our credit advice columns. You'll find information about fraud and identity theft, how to respond. So lots of free information. Yeah.
We will assume that Heather will post the correct links right below us, just to make sure that as you're watching, we'll have all of those there, and you can find them because they're wonderful resources. This has been just really wonderful and a very timely topic, and especially, it's important for all consumers, but because we do have so many parents, so many families, and so many teachers that are in Jumpstart's Facebook audience, I think it's particularly important for them to hear. Absolutely. So what else with Experian? What else is going on that you want our gang to know about?
Oh, there's always a lot happening. And Financial Literacy Month is coming.
That's right.
So in April, we're always out and trying to be more active in social media as well. I was just on Periscope and jumped over to Facebook Live. So it's amazing how you can move from one place to the other and never move your chair.
And we should have that link also because we would love to have some of our audience find you as well.
So check out Credit Chat on Periscope and on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern with a Twitter chat, and we always have great guests and talk about personal finance issues. And on Periscope, we're here 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern every day. I try to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays and answer questions, so just a live opportunity to ask questions.
And the rest of your team on
and the rest of the team is there.
Days.
Yeah, so you'll see Christina Roman and Alex Torres, and they're far more entertaining than I am. I just kind of play the straight guy, but they have quizzes and games, all sorts of cool stuff. So
they're behind the camera today, but I do want to say as we're wrapping up, thank you to you, thank you to the Experian team. This worked out so nicely for us to be able to come here and do something different and broadcast from here. But as you mentioned, Financial Literacy Month is right around the corner and coming up in April. Our next Facebook Live will be Tuesday, April 10th, and we're going to do something a little different that day too, because Jumpstart celebrates Financial Literacy Month with a series of special events, and we're going to broadcast next month from our special events. We will be at the JW Marriott in Washington, D.C. with a lot of our partners and state coalition leaders in town. So we'll have a special Facebook Live next month. Tuesday, April 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. So we hope you'll all join us then. So thank you once again for joining us, and thank you, all of you, for joining us. And have a great rest of the month, and we look forward to seeing you as we start our celebration for Financial Literacy Month in April. Thanks.